Welcome to the Daily Read, your source for news, politics, sports, and all things trending. And I am your host, Marcus Gentry. This intro music right here is by Lisa Fisher. How Can I Ease the Pain? Sorry for some of my YouTubers out there, my Facebook friends. You're not able to hear the intro music or the outro music, but you're just going to have to get the podcast. We got copyright and things like that going on, so you're just going to have to go out and get the podcast. All right, y'all, let's jump right into it. First of all, to start this show off today, I got some good news, I got some bad news, and I got some good news that's going to hopefully overshadow the bad news. Now, first of all, I want to give my condolences to the people down in El Paso, Texas. I got a lot of friends down there. They call me Black Clouds down there, and my Indian friends call me Black Indio. So I want to give my condolences to them in Dayton, Ohio, where they had that massacre down there with these bigots and racist people. You know, they out here killing people and acting a fool ever since Donald Trump coming to office. But we're not going to talk about that today. I had a whole show ready to talk about how the Civil War affects our today's politics. But I'm going to scrap that show and I'm going to use it next week. Because there's a lot of things that has happened over the last week that I need to discuss with you. First of all, the show was great. I almost went viral with the show, and I got over 1,800 views. I got 30-something subscribers, and YouTube is on fire. This show is on fire all across the country, and we're going to make this show great. Basically, I'm going on a journey, and I'm taking all of y'all with me. This is my first podcast, my first show, and we're going to keep it live. We're going to keep it real. And we're going to give you guys something that's going to make you think, that's going to make you change your life, especially in the minority communities where we're falling behind economically and through certain things like that. So to get started, I want to tell you about the copyright aspect of my show, because I had a lot of people call me and text me and email me about why the different platforms had a different show. Now, the podcast, you can get the intro, the outro, commercials, everything is different. It's the same show, but everything is different. Now, YouTube and Facebook, they have a different policy and a different algorithm when it comes down to using music and copyrighted materials. That's why some of you on Facebook, when you're sitting in your car and you're playing somebody's music over the radio and you're singing along with it, next thing you know, you look up and they done snatched it down. That's because of copyright infringements. So the only thing I can do with that is just give you the show live and try to give you my help live, but you won't be able to get all of the things that I can give you unless you go to the podcast. Now, my podcast is for my older viewers, my older truck drivers and people out there that like to listen to the news or listen to the better commentaries without having to watch videos. I know a lot of truck drivers all across the country, from Texas, California, all the way across to North Carolina. And a lot of them guys and females, they don't do the YouTube, they don't do the Facebook. They do podcasts. They download it to their phones, plug it into the radio, and roll with it. So if you want to get the full details of the show, you're going to have to find the podcast. And right now, the podcast doesn't have my my podcast image uploaded to it yet. So when I get my RSS feeds up and running, you're going to be able to find it. I'm going to post it everywhere so you can go get it. Give me about another week. Like I said, we're on a journey, people. And we're on a journey to make your lives better in the minority community. And we're gonna get it right. Now, for all my older listeners, the podcast is for you. The ones who don't do the YouTube and do the Facebook and videos and things like that. Now, my Facebook is more for the middle-aged people, and it's some older people and younger people on Facebook, but they don't normally do podcasting. So I try to get my show out to them also, but there is a difference. The show's still the same, but there's a difference. And then of course my YouTubers, they're the younger crowd. They're the younger people that they get out there with the game videos and things like that. So it's the same show, but it's going to be slightly different. Now, as far as YouTube goes, I didn't ask people to subscribe. They did. I didn't ask people to view it. They did. You can go to YouTube right now. And I put the links up on Facebook. I put the links up everywhere. I've even seen people down that I've been knowing for years. Gave them the link to it. They went down there. They viewed it. And it's on fire. I'm talking about all across the country. Most people don't even get 1,800 views in 3 or 4 months on YouTube. I got 1,800 views on YouTube within 3 to 4 days. So the show is on fire. It's catching on, people. And people want the real. They want realism. And they don't want no faking. They don't want no bullshit around, you know. So we're going to give it to you live. And we're going to keep it real with you. And like I said, I scrapped today's show about how the Civil War affects today's policy and politics because of the incidents that have happened across the country. Now, we got to understand that some of us is out here sleeping. And we got to wake up, people. Racism is still real. It's still going on. Now, does that mean all white people are racist? No. Does that mean all white people are devils? No. I got friends who would say that. You know, people that I know, I wouldn't necessarily call them friends. I say associates. You know, I can't deal with bigotry, period. Either what side of the fence is on, it doesn't matter. But there is a certain element of people out there that have so much hatred in their heart for someone who's not like them that they don't realize that this country is going towards the way of the Arabs. If you look at the Arab population in Africa, in certain parts of Africa, they are dark brown or light brown people. And that's because of the European aspect that was added to the African country over the different decades and years and centuries of conquering and taking over different countries. In another 200-300 years, this country, America, is going to be the same way. So the bigotry and the racism that's going on between the cultures is like it's senseless, because we are all going towards that route. You're going to see within the next 200-300 years more lighter brown people. People are still going to identify with white. People are still going to identify with being black, but you're still going to have a mixed variety of people here. But overall, it's going to be light brown people, and you can't stop it. It's not something that these politicians like Donald Trump and the Republicans that's riding with him that think they can stop it. It's not something they can stop, because as long as we out here mixing and mingling with the races and having kids by other races, it's going to happen. And that's on my brothers and sisters side too. You know, I know we want to have a majority black community and things like that, but you in a country like this is headed that way. The train has already left the station. So we got to understand that and recognize it and keep moving forward to equality among all people, because it's coming. And I'm going to get into that on the next segment about how some of us as black people feel that it's not our fight between the Caucasians and the Mexicans. But I'm telling you, it is our fight. And the reason why it's our fight, I'm going to explain it to you as the show goes on, because you got to understand where we came from to understand where it's going with the Mexican and Hispanic community. This is dangerous, people. This is dangerous. And we got to understand it and recognize it. Now, I got to give you some updates on last show, because I had a young man call me and asked me what was the difference between the TIN and the SSN. Now, going back to credit, which was my last show, the SSN and the TIN is basically the same thing. We already talked about the CPNs. CPN is something you need to stay away from unless you're a millionaire. Trade lines is good. It's legal. CPNs is legal, but stay away from them. Now, I never touched on the TIN numbers. TIN numbers are basically for foreigners. Okay? That doesn't mean if you're an American citizen, you can't get a TIN number. TIN number means tax identification number. That's all it means. But you already have a tax identification number, which is called your Social Security number. So you don't need a TIN. TIN is for foreigners who come here with work visas. Okay? They come here with work visas and they don't have a Social Security number, so the government basically gives them a TIN number. And if you look on your W-2s in those little spaces, you look on your W-2s in those little slots that say TIN, or it says either put SSN or TIN in the space. Basically what that means is basically what that means is they're want you to put either the government given TIN or
the Daily Read.
They want you to give the
politics, sports, and all things trending.
They want you to give the SSN, which is both basically the same thing. So don't worry about a TIN number, people. Don't worry about a TIN. TIN is something for foreigners, so stay away from those. Now, touching back on the different shows, after I've given you that update, touching back on the different shows that we have here on the Daily Read. Like I said, it's the same show, people, but it's a slight difference. And that difference is the fact that the commercials, the intro music that I can introduce, there are certain levels of algorithms, again, that Facebook and YouTube won't allow. I mean, they'll catch it fast and they'll shut it down. So unless I can go out and find one of these singers or hip hop artists or whatever music and get permission personally from them or their publishers, I won't be able to play my intro music or my outro music for you. Now, if you get it on podcast, that's a whole different ball game, because podcast is a different development source. It's a different platform. You know, you have comedy on there. You have explicit material. You have music. So that's a whole different platform. So, like I said again, if you get it from that source, you'll be all right. Now, I'm gonna go into this slight commercial break. And when I get back, we're going to talk about why it is our fight when it comes to the Spanish American and Spanish Hispanic community, because I'm going to tie it all together for you so you can understand it, because a lot of my listeners, they like listening to it, because when I give it to you, I give it to you in a way you can understand it. And then I'm going to put a little history with it, because like I say, I do my research whenever I do a show. And that research, when you get it, you know, when you get this information, you're going to understand that trust me, it is our fight, people. And I'm going to go into this slight commercial break. And when I get back, we'll talk about it. All right, my Facebook and YouTube people. Now that I got it on commercial break, I want to give you what the podcasters is not hearing, because you can't get what the podcasters are hearing. Okay, I try to get things for the community that I feel will help, and I go and look up advertising and sponsors and people that will add and contribute to my show that I know can help the community. Now, there's a diabetes remedy. It's called Halki. It's called the Halki remedy. That's HALKI, diabetes remedy. Now, diabetes is something I want to touch on in one of my next shows coming up here in the future, and it's hitting the minority communities hard. My mother has it, and a lot of us don't realize that some of us have diabetes that's not that bad. Simple workout and things like that, and eating healthy, just walking and jogging and doing certain exercises. Now, it's some people out there who have it bad, but it's some people out there who have gotten kind of lazy over life, and they don't understand when the doctor be telling them, look, you have it, but you can easily control it and regulate it with just something simple like exercising and doing things. But this thing I got here is one of my commercials. It's called the Halki Diabetes Remedy, and it's the #1 supplement in America. Now, that doesn't mean you go out and stop taking what your doctor gives you. This is like a supplement, you know what I'm saying? And it can help you with the pain, the aches, and things of that nature. And if you like it, try it. They have a money back guarantee policy. If you go to my YouTube channel and you go down to the description, it'll be in the links below. And when you find it in the link, just click on it, go straight to it, read up on it. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, I do my research on certain things, and I want to bring certain good things to the community to give you, because diabetes is hitting us hard. It's hitting the minority communities hard. We suffer with obesity, and people don't understand obesity doesn't come from the lack of food. It comes from the lack of good food. And a lot of us are filling our bodies up with a lot of bad things. So like I say, go to my YouTube channel, go down to the description, and it'll be highlighted. If it's not, it should have the Halki remedy on it, and click on it. It'll take you straight to the product. And if you like it, try it out, no problem. If you don't like it, it's still no problem, because you can always call them, tell you don't send them no more. You know what I'm saying? But it's a good thing. I did a little research on it. It is the #1 over-the-counter diabetes health remedy that you can find. And you guys try it out. Now I'm finna come back off this commercial break, and we finna get back to the show. All right, people, we back with the Daily Read, and I am your host, Marcus Gentry. All right, last segment I was talking about the different shows and why is there a difference in the shows, and I was talking about the demographics of the people that does the different platforms. Most of the older people I know, I'm gonna do a recap real quick. Most of the older people I know, they fool with podcasts. They do radio. They do the news on the radio. They don't do, they watch a little television, but most of the older truck drivers I know and people out there that do the podcast, they're the older crowd. And then, the middle-aged people are more Facebook. They don't really do YouTube too much. They don't do podcasts, but they'll get on Facebook and act the fool. And then you have the younger crowd, which is the YouTube crowd. You got other platforms out there like Twitter and Instagram, but I got Twitter and Instagram pages. I don't promote too much on those pages because they're not the biggest platforms. I might start doing some things on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter, but right now I'm mainly focused on the 3 platforms that I know will get all the information out there to the different minority communities that need it. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna keep it basically Facebook, podcasting, and YouTube for right now. But like I said, you can still get me on Twitter, Instagram, and I'm gonna try to get me a Snapchat presence also. But let me go into the conversation about why this is our fight, people. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the 80s. I call it cocaine 80s, and a lot of y'all know that done lived through it. We had the cocaine 80s and we had the gang banging 90s. Okay, the cocaine 80s was Reagan and Nancy, President Reagan and Nancy Reagan's war on drugs. Cocaine has been around for centuries. You know, they had the snuff cans back in the 17, 18, and 1600s. They had the snuff cans full of cocaine. Cocaine's been around a long time. I'm not saying it's a good drug. Nobody should use it, but it's been around. When minorities around the 80s, you got to put it in context to the point where minorities in the 80s was getting rich off of crack. And we had just come out of the 70s and 60s where we had black movements where minorities were starting to get equal rights, working in jobs that mostly white people only had. And there was still an element of white society that didn't want us there. So when you're a black man who has made millions off of cocaine, which, like I said, has been around, and you walking up into a restaurant paying $1,000 a plate, people look at you like, what are you doing here? When you driving around in a Porsche and rocking mink coats, they feel like you don't supposed to have that. So the war on drugs in the 80s, now it might seem like I'm getting off subject here. I'm not. The subject is the Hispanic plight our fight too? And like I did last time, everything that I talk about is going to come back around, and then you're going to get the understanding that, yeah, it is our fight. Okay, in the 80s, when they started incarcerating hundreds of thousands of black fathers, uncles, gang leaders, drug leaders, these were men who might have been doing bad things, but they were still some of the pillars in our community as far as in the household. When you come in, you know, you love mom and you feared mom, but you really feared dad. You really feared your uncle, you know. So when they start incarcerating hundreds of thousands of black fathers, men's, uncles, cousins, older cousins, people who could put an influence on these young black men out here, the women had to step up and raise the men and women in our households. Okay, women and men raise children different. I'm not saying the love is different. The love is still unconditional. But women and men raise children different. And you can tell it by simply looking at the households. Most households, regardless of whether they're white or black, that have a father and a mother in the household, their kids go on to do better things in life. Most households that have, and this is statistics, people. This is not my thoughts on it. You can go and research it. This is not something that I'm just throwing out here. Most homes that are raised by single parents, especially single mothers, they do worser. Not because she's not doing her job. She's stepping up to the plate, and I commend her. But when a broken home is there, it hurts the population that most of the broken homes are in. So now you got the 80s where they were locking up hundreds of thousands of black fathers, uncles, gang leaders, men who can make moves in the community and move people. And they also locked up black power leaders. So when you started incarcerating, giving them 20 and 30 years, that's a generation. Now you got a situation, people, where I know about it. I can talk about it. And it was death in the streets. People didn't know what to do. It was crazy. Now, how it connects to the Hispanic plight that's going on with the Caucasians and the Hispanics, how it relates is who you think these people are going to hate once they turn 20. You see, when they incarcerate and send back all of their fathers and mothers, the kids don't go nowhere because they're United States citizens. These kids are put in the Audi homes, reform schools, okay? 10, 20, 30 years later, with all this hatred built up in their hearts for mostly white people, they still have to compete for resources. See, these people are playing chess. They're not playing checkers, people. These Hispanic people are going to have to compete for resources. And if you know anything about the inner cities, like I do, because I've been all over America, in most inner cities, all of the black neighborhoods have mostly Hispanic neighborhoods close by or damn near right up on top of it. They're not competing for resources with white people. So what you think is going to happen? It's going to be the same thing all over again, like in the 80s and the 90s. Wild, wild west out here. Because the Hispanic people are going to start competing for resources. They're going to start competing for blocks and corner stores and areas where they want to have their people there. And the blacks are going to say, no, our people are here. Next thing you know, it's going to be a whole 90s era all over again. This is serious, people. These people are not playing checkers. They playing chess. They playing for the long game. Some of y'all are out here sleeping. Y'all worried about what Cardi B when the last time she had her teeth done. This is serious. These people ain't playing no games. So when I say that the Hispanic plight is our plight, it's our fight too, I mean that. Not just because they're minority people, not just because I have Hispanic friends all over the country, but because these kids, they don't have to go back to Mexico. Their parents might have to go back, but these kids are going to be locked somewhere in an institution until they turn 18 and turned out on the streets. I'm going to give you an example. In the news, you see, that's why I say I try to connect everything back around to you to let you know that this is serious. In the news, they have what you call a Friday news dump. Okay. Now, the Friday news dump, what some of y'all don't understand is when politicians and government want to do things that's underhanded, they know on Friday you're not paying attention. They know that you done got your check, you finna get you some drink, you finna go play some cards somewhere or get dressed up and go to a club. So the Friday news dump comes around 6 to 8 o'clock. They start talking about all these policies they moving around and you unaware of it. You in the dark. Understand what I'm saying? You in the dark. They playing chess. So this is one thing that happened on the Friday news dump. Some of y'all not even aware of it. These racist people think that the majority of people on welfare is black. They don't understand that they hurting their own self because the majority of people that's on welfare in this country is white. But in their mind, some of these bigots, like I said, all white people are not racist. But in the people in power right now today, in their mind, most people that's on welfare are black. So what they have done is cut billions of dollars out of the welfare program and public housing. None of y'all wasn't even aware of this. They just did it. It ain't going to take effect for another month or two, but what's going to happen is you're going to go down there and get your check, thinking you finna go get about $300-400 worth of groceries. You can't get your groceries because they done cut your money. You wasn't paying attention. Now you want to run down there, cuss the woman out at the aid office. We call it aid office. You know, I'm from Chicago originally. I still call it aid office. You know, you go down to the aid office, cuss the woman out. She ain't got nothing to do with it. She worked there just like you work somewhere. She telling you, man, they told you about it. Hell, we sent letters out. They told you about it. I'm sorry, but I can't do nothing. And she can't. And then they have what you call a tragic news dump. Now, let me explain to you what a tragic news dump is, people. Okay? Because like I said, I like to inform the minority communities about what's going on around it, because a lot of us are sleeping. The tragic news dump is when a tragic event happens, like a plane crash killing hundreds of people, or a boat sink, or somebody do a mass shooting like what just happened in Dayton, Ohio, and El Paso, Texas. So a tragic news dump is let me break it down to you for my listeners out there who like it simple. That's why y'all listen to me, because I'm gonna break it down so you can understand. Say your girlfriend daddy died and she laying on the bed, and you go in the bedroom and you tell her, I'm breaking up with you and I'm moving out next week. You mumble it. You don't say it out loud, you kind of mumble it. Basically what you just did was you gave her a tragic news dump. She's going through a tragedy. She ain't paying attention to you. And then what happens is, a week or two later, when you start packing your stuff and you moving out the house, she like, what you doing? Where you going? You be like, I told you last week that I was moving up out of here. So now it ain't no reconciling it, because you already done got it in motion. You done got boxes in the truck and everything. And that's what I'm telling you about these news dumps, people. They already did the Friday news dump with the welfare and the aid. Now they done the tragic news dump 2 days after the tragic incidents that happened down in El Paso and Dayton, Ohio. Donald Trump sent the FBI to raid a Mississippi warehouse and a factory. They arrested 650 Hispanics. Arrested them. Didn't care about where their kids went or nothing. These people's kids were left at school crying because they don't know where their parents at. Now, these kids are American citizens. They were born here. Some of their parents were illegals. So now the teachers didn't know what to do. They had hundreds of kids, people, left at school because the parents are incarcerated. They locked them up, put them on buses, and bust them out. Didn't even care about the kids, or didn't care about what we're going to do with these people. Kids, they didn't have no plan for that. They didn't care about that. That was called the tragic news dump. They did it under the guise of a tragedy that happened in Dayton, Ohio, and El Paso, Texas. They did it in a way where people were so focused on the death of these people, may they rest in peace, but they did it so slick that half of y'all, my listeners, don't even know this happened. And I live in Tennessee. This happened in Mississippi, right down the road. So that's what I mean when I say some of us are sleeping behind the wheel. You know, they got these Friday news dumps and they got these tragic news dumps. Y'all got to be aware of it. Because if y'all ain't aware of this, man, they gonna get you. And ain't nothing you can do about it because it's too late. The protest is already in motion. So that's what I mean when I say that this Hispanic fight is our fight too. Because those hundreds of kids down in Mississippi that are American citizens whose parents got detained and bust out in buses, a white man had to go and open up his gym and put cots inside of his gym so these kids can sleep on. This what he had to do. Because don't nobody know where their parents at. Hundreds of kids laying on cots inside of a man's gym because they didn't know what to do with these kids. They had to feed them, from charity. What you think these kids gonna do when they turn 18 or 20? And the Audi home or the reform school kick them out on the streets because they're 18. They finna get out here and get it the best way they can. Who you think they're gonna get it from? They ain't going to Hollywood. They ain't going to Beverly Hills. They going where you live at. They're gonna be right there in your neighborhood, competing for your resources. So you got to understand that this fight is your fight, people. Y'all sitting back thinking, man, it ain't got nothing to do with us. And then another thing you got to think about, what's going to happen once they get done with them? Who you think they're coming after next? So we got to be aware, people. We ain't aware. We sleeping. Y'all driving drunk. And I like to come and just let you know, because I had a homie. He was a good friend of mine. He texted me. Matter of fact, he inboxed me on Facebook because I was in North Dakota, and I took some pictures with some Norteños and some guys. They gang members, but I'm not a part of that. And I let them know. I know a lot of gang members, and I let them know, man, I don't do that. The gang stuff ain't me. Now, I know a lot of friends all across the country. He said, man, why you always taking up for them people? I said, man, I take up for you too. But I know the difference. I know that they fight, it is our fight. You don't know. You in the dark. You in the dark, brother. Because your kids that's coming up, they gonna have to compete for resources from these kids. One of your kids might get shot by one of these kids that they done kicked out the Audi home, and now he's out in your neighborhood trying to scrounge for resources, trying to find him a place to live, set up shop, get him a job or sell some dope or whatever. Whatever he chooses to do to get money, he has to compete for the people in his surroundings. And it might be your kid, it might be your son. We got to think about this, people. Because these people are playing the long game. They're not thinking about the now. They're not thinking about entertainment. We all about entertainment. Football, basketball, the Kardashians. We're about entertainment. These people are for real. They're about domination. And we sleep behind the wheel. So I just had to, in this segment, I just had to go there and let you know that this is our fight. That's why I didn't do the show that I wanted to do. I had to scrap that. Because like I said, I had to explain to you at the beginning of the show about the difference between the platforms and why my show is so different on the different platforms that you go. But I also wanted to discuss a lot of people that was, inboxing me and talking to me about how, it ain't our business why we getting involved in it. It is, people. It is. That's why I went back to the 80s. Some of y'all remember how the 90s was. Not y'all kids. I'm not talking about y'all kids. Y'all kids running around here with your head in the clouds. I'm talking about grown men and women who lived through the gang banging 90s. I lived through it. Seeing my homie get shot in the neck. I lived through it, people. Bullet holes in my leg. I lived through it. So I can tell you about it. I can talk about it. And all that came because they snatched parents out the household. Things done calmed down now to the point where, it's a lot of other issues that are going on with the young black men and women today. Things done calmed down. I'm gonna get on to the homosexual aspect of what's going on with the young men and women in communities today, in the minority community. That's gonna be another show. This gonna be a controversial show, people, because I'm gonna bring it to you live. I ain't gonna sugarcoat nothing. So this is a whole different era from the gang banging 90s. It's a whole different era. And it's a lot of feminists and feminism going on in our communities now. But like I say, that's for a whole nother show. But the gang banging 90s came from the cocaine 80s. And it affected us. It affected us seeing your older uncle that you respected and looked up to get snatched away for 20 years. Your dad. You see your mom going to work at 2 jobs, sleeping around with this dude and that dude because these dudes are helping her with the rent. She got to deal with somebody she really don't want to deal with. I done seen it all, people. I done seen it. I've been out there. So I'm telling you right now that this is a long-term thing. And what they doing to these Hispanic people, it's going to affect you 10, 20 years from now. Everything done calmed down in the African American and minority communities right now to the point where it's still some bad stuff going on out there, especially in Chicago. But it ain't nowhere near the 90s. Nowhere near it, people. Everybody had pistols. Everybody. And I see it coming. It's like when you see something coming from a long distance away that other people can't see because they sleeping. Their eyes are sleepy. With this show right here, I'm gonna give you some Red Bull. I'm gonna wake you up. So I'm gonna get into this next commercial break and I'm gonna get back to you. All right, people. This next commercial segment, like I said, the people that get it on podcast, they get a whole nother version of this show. But this show on Facebook and YouTube, I'm still going to always bring something decent to you that you can use. Whether you use it or not, that's up to you. But I have an employments online work from home jobs. Okay. Like I said, go to YouTube. Go down into the description. I already talked about the Hauke diabetes remedy on the last commercial set. On this commercial set, it's called Employment Jobs Online, and these are mostly telecommunication jobs, things you can do in your household. You know, you got women that had babies, they want to bounce back and get back into the work field, the workforce, but they really can't leave their newborns around with just anybody. You know how people get, but you know, these are things that you can do. So get on my YouTube channel, go down to the description of this show, not the first show, this show, and then scroll down and you'll see employments online jobs, and click on it. It'll take you to the site, and if you see a job you like, you know, they got everything from video game testing, where they'll send you a beta video game and you play it. They have these little cue cards where you tell them what's wrong with the game and you get paid for it, and you get a free game. So it's a lot of things that we can do out here as far as getting jobs and getting money. And you know, so look into that. I looked into it, and you know, it's some good stuff. It's for real. It's not fake. It's real. I'm gonna bring you some real stuff, people. So just remember that. And you know, it's called Employment Jobs Online, and the first one is called Hauke Diabetes Remedy. It's the #1 diabetes supplement in America. So I'm about to come back off this second commercial break and get back into my last segment. All right, people, I'm back. This is the Daily Read, and I'm your host, Marcus Gentry. Now, the last segment I was talking about how this fight is the minorities fight. It's black people's fight too. You know, don't get it twisted, people. This is not something that these people are playing around with. They scared that the white people, the white race or the white color is disappearing in this country. And I don't even think some of them realize that what they're doing is causing chaos 10, 20 years from now by doing what they're doing to the Hispanic community, trying to push them out. They already have to deal with us as far as the mixing of the races, because every day you can walk down the street and see a black woman with a white guy or a white woman with a black guy. You know, so they already have to compete with us, and now they're scared because so many Hispanics are coming into the picture too. So, but what they don't realize is the uptick in violence that's going to happen 10, 15 years from now. And, you know, I've been around this a long time, man. I've seen it. It's like in my mind, I'm seeing this whole picture play out. Some of y'all can't see it. I'm seeing it. It's gonna happen, and it's dangerous. You know, it's dangerous, people. We already having violence in our own communities right now, but this whole thing that's going on with the Hispanics, it's gonna get bad 10, 15 years from now. But on this last segment, I want to talk about the NRA and their influence on Congress. Now, the NRA is powerful. Everybody love their guns, and you know, everybody want the guns. Everybody want the guns and everything like that. But I'm an advocate of having your guns, but why are these bullets not regulated? Why do you need 50,000 rounds? You know, like I say, this is a controversial show, and I talk about things that most, you know, minorities really ain't even concerned about. They should be, but why do you need 50,000 rounds of anything? A deer or a rabbit don't shoot back. It takes one shot to bring a deer down. I know, because I've been out there. I done seen it done. And maybe two, if you chase it down and it's still alive, you might have to put him down. But you don't need thousands of rounds for a deer if you're out there hunting. Even if you're protecting your household, you don't need 1,000 rounds, people, or 1,000,000 rounds, or 50,000 rounds. You don't need that many bullets. So I think that if you regulate, you know, I'm not talking about the guns. You know, everybody should be able to protect their family and have them a pistol if they want to, or a rifle. But I feel like these bullets out here is a way that the government can say, why are you storing all these weapons? What's going on? And maybe watch these people. You know, you buying bulk 50,000 rounds, you setting up for something. You know, you setting up for something. There's something going on. The only people that need rounds like that is the military. So why are you storing up and stockpiling 50,000 rounds of anything? And it goes back to what I was saying about, you know, the people who sit back on the fence and say it ain't their fight. It is your fight. Because you just seen what happened in El Paso and Dayton. This is your fight, people. You know, these people are playing chess, man. They after the long game. Y'all playing checkers. Actually, some of y'all ain't even playing at all. Now, in the last segment, I just told you about Ronald Reagan and the war on drugs that him and Nancy started, while they locked up hundreds of thousands of black men, fathers, uncles, gang leaders, you name it. Anything that was minority that had a little power or a little influence in our communities, they incarcerated them. And I already told you that what that did was left a vacuum in our family structure that the women had to fill. And the women can't fill it like that. I'm not saying they can't do their best to raise their kids, and I honor that. That's honorable. But the male is the head. You cut off that head, everything else just flapping around. And that's what we've been doing for the last 20, 30 years, flapping around. And that's what's been going on in our communities. So now you got a situation where with the guns, if you raised by Big Mama and them, auntie and them, your mama, your auntie, they don't want guns in their house. But you look at the white family, grandma's out there hunting with her grandkids and her niece and nephew, her son. She got her little flappy hat on with the little mitts. She got her little rifle. And that's what I mean when I say we are being damaged, because we're not understanding the long game, people. The long game is domination, and they playing it for that. We playing it for equality. They're playing for domination. And some of y'all ain't playing the game. Now, if you really want to change the legislation on guns, some of y'all elders, Big Mama and them, that don't like guns in their house, don't like guns, you need to slap your little nephew on the head and say, hey man, you 21 years old. You in here playing this video game. Come down here to the firing range with me. I want to learn how to shoot a gun. He gonna look at you like, what? Are you serious? Yeah. You got to play the game if you want to beat the game. See, some of y'all ain't playing the game at all. Get off your butt and go down there and file for a gun license. You see, this is how it happens, people. This is how gun legislation changes. When they had that shooting a few years back of those gays in that gay bar down in Florida, the racist dude went inside the gay bar and killed all them people. They had an uptick in homosexuals buying guns. Okay. How did they know that? Because when these homosexuals went into these gun shops and firing ranges and started learning how to shoot guns and protecting themselves, they recorded it. The same way they're going to record it if they have an uptick in black people and minorities buying guns. They're going to record it. They're going to know. See, right now they're not worried about it, because there's two people in this country that is going to tell you you ain't supposed to have a gun if you're a minority. The police and Big Mama and them. But everybody else got guns to protect their family. I'm going to give you an example of what I mean. And like I say, everything I do on this show, it comes back around in a circle and hits you. They had a white soldier and a black soldier. These were Marines, people. They served overseas together. They were good friends, best friends. They was in Utah somewhere that has an open carry law. And they was videotaping each other to see the difference in minorities and whites having guns. The white guy got out the truck, put the rifle on his shoulder, and started walking around. The police pulled up on him, got out the car without drawing his weapon, and said, hey, bud, what you doing with your gun? You okay? He said, yeah, man, I'm an ex-Marine, and I'm just out here, this is open carry state, so I'm just out here with my gun. He said, well, okay, as long as you're okay, everything's okay. He said, yeah, everything's okay. He said, well, let me see your license and everything. He showed him his license, and the man let him go. 5 minutes later, they reversed roles. The black guy got out the car. They Marines now. These men have permission to have guns. He got out the truck, put the gun over his shoulder, and walked around just like the white guy did. Within 5 minutes, people, 3 squad cars pulled up on him, and every cop that got out that car pulled a gun on him. Start screaming at him, get down on the ground. This is an open carry state now. They started screaming at him, get on the ground, asking him what he doing with the gun. He said, hey man, I'm an ex-Marine. This is my gun. I can have it. It's an open carry state. So that's just to let you know that police don't expect for minorities to have weapons. And Big Mama and them don't expect for minorities to have weapons. They expect for a white person to have a gun or a weapon. But they don't expect for Big Mike down the street to have a legal gun. But they expect for Johnny come lately, white guy up the street to have a gun. So you got to play the game if you want to change it. You got to play it, people. You don't want to have a gun in your house, that's fine. Go down to the firing range anyway and tell the people in there, hey man, I want to learn how to shoot a gun. The first thing they're going to ask you, do you have a felony? See, that's slick racism. because I did it before. I went into a gun shop and saw 3 or 4 white people before me ask to shoot a gun. They didn't ask them not one time did they have a felony. But as soon as I walked up to that counter and said, hey man, I want to hit the firing range back there, he looked at me up and down. He said, sure man, but do you have a felony? So that just lets you know, people, that people don't expect for minorities to have weapons. So what happens is, in our communities, these young men look at guns as being taboo. So when they get mad at somebody, they go get an illegal gun. You understand? You see, I'm trying to paint this picture for you so you can understand how everything fit together. You go down there, you ain't even got to have it in your house, because they have guns that they will supply to you to shoot if you want to learn how to shoot guns. Go down there, you ain't got no felony. Go down there and say, hey man, I want to learn how to shoot a gun. Now he will try to be slick racist to you. He probably slick gonna say, hey man, you got a felony. If you say no, okay, come on back. He gonna open up to you. He gonna go on back there. He gonna show you how to load it, show you how to clean it, show you how to shoot it. You gotta pay some money for it though. You know, it ain't free. But what I'm trying to tell you is, he gonna mark it down as a minority having a gun. And at first, it's not gonna take effect. Within a year or two, once they see an uptick in minorities going out here purchasing legal guns, Congress gonna say, hold on, we gotta do something about this. We gotta stop this. Right now, they ain't worried about it. Because just like I told you in the 80s, when Ronald Reagan started incarcerating hundreds of thousands of black fathers and uncles, these are black fathers and uncles that would go out and tell your nephew or your son, man, shoot that pumpkin. Learn how to shoot that rifle. That's taking out the family. Them guys in jail. Mom and them ain't messing with no weapons. They don't want no guns around. Now the white grandmama, she with it. She gonna go out there and hunt with you. She might even skin the deer and everything. These people are playing the game. You ain't playing the game, people. You want to play the game to win. You want to change these laws? Go out here and take your son down there who's 18 or 21 or, you know, of that age. Show him how to shoot a gun. That way he can have respect for it. Let him register as a gun owner. Because once he registered as a minority, as a gun owner, all of that data goes to Washington. Like I say, it's not going to take effect for the first year. It ain't going to take effect. Give it 2 or 3 years. And they start seeing that this ain't no fluke. Minorities are actually out here buying guns legally. It's an uptick in minorities buying guns. And I guarantee you they're going to change the laws. They can't change it for just white people though. You understand what I'm saying? They're going to change the laws for everybody to watch these guns. See, they playing the game. You got our elders in our community, especially Big Mama and them, they ain't playing the game. And then you got these youngsters out here like in Chicago, they playing the game with these guns, but they illegal. So they playing checkers. These people playing chess. So you got 2 things going on in our society, in minority society. You got the elders, Big Mama and them that raised you. They ain't playing the game at all. They don't want no guns around them, in the house, in the attic, under the bed. They don't want no pistols, period. So they ain't playing the game. When they should be. They should be out here teaching these youngsters the proper way to load and fire and secure a gun. So they ain't playing the game at all. And then you got these youngsters out here who saying, man, forget mom and them. I'm finna go get me a gun illegally. And then when they go get a gun, they playing checkers. Half of them don't even know how to clean a gun properly. I know a dude who had a gun for almost 2 years. He ain't never cleaned it. Never cleaned it. I ain't never seen him take that gun apart and clean it not one time. So they playing checkers. A gun that's not clean can backfire on you and kill you. So if you want to play the game, people, you got to play to win, because these people are playing to win. They ain't playing no games with you at all. And you got two people in this society that are telling you, since you're a minority, you don't supposed to have a weapon. That's the police and Big Mama and them. And those are two authority figures in your life. Police are authority figure in the community, and Big Mama and them that raised you, because Papa and them locked up, they're an authority figure in your personal life. So you got two authority figures telling you not to have a weapon. So now you can't defend yourself, and when you do defend yourself, you're doing it illegally. See, the best thing for some of these gang bangers and gang leaders to do, get all you guys together and say, hey man, I know some of y'all got felonies. How many of y'all don't have no felonies? All right, you. Y'all go down there and get y'all a legal gun license. Go ahead. Go on down there, man. Oh man, I want to go down there. Man, go down there and get your legal gun license. You ain't got no felony. What you playing for? These other guys in the gang, they got felony. They can't get one. Go down there and get your legal gun license. You see, that's proper stuff there. Once they start seeing an uptick in minorities purchasing weapons, they're going to change it. They're going to make it hard for everybody to get guns. And that's what you really want in the end, in the first place. But as long as they know they got protection and you don't, ain't nothing going to change in Congress. So stop it. Stop wishing and hoping and praying. That ain't going to change. NRA going to make sure that it ain't going to change. But what takes the power from the NRA is the minority groups buying guns. Because now the NRA has to deal with us being members. Yeah, I'm a member of the NRA. They got to report it to the government. And trust me, when I say the government looks at this, they look at it. They reported on the fact that homosexuals, after that shooting happened at that club in Florida, went out and started buying guns in droves. They recorded this, people. Now, how did they know that? How in the world did the government know that there was an uptick in homosexuals buying guns? It's because they recorded it. Just like they're going to record the fact that minorities out here are buying guns legally, not illegally, legally. You got to play the game, people. You want to change something, you got to play the game. Because they playing it, and they playing chess. They not playing checkers. And they going to checkmate you. So I'm going to end this show today. You know, I'm going to upload it to YouTube probably tomorrow. And y'all get on there, get on the YouTube and hit that subscribe button if you like this content. Leave a comment down in the description below. You know, tell me what you like and you don't like about the show. I had several YouTubers call me, text me. They was like, man, you look like you've been doing this show for years. And the thing about it is, they was giving me information on different video and recording equipment that I can buy to make my show better. And what I text them back, like I'm telling all my listeners, is you guys are going on a journey with me. This journey that I'm on is a journey where I can help people in the minority communities, but at the same time, this is my breakout into podcasting and broadcasting. So things is going to get better. The video quality is going to get better. The audio quality is going to get better. As I'm learning as I go, I'm learning the different disclaimers and things that I have to know in order to put my music up and put my podcast up. So bear with me. You know, keep looking at these videos, keep tuning in, because I'm going to give you something good every time. And I ain't going to hold your hand. I ain't going to sugarcoat nothing. I'm going to give it to you. You know, it's up to you to utilize it and grow. You know what I'm saying? So this is The Daily Read with Marcus Gentry, and I love you all, and I'm out. All right, Facebook people, this is my second show, on my journey as a podcaster, and I hope y'all enjoyed it, man. This is gonna be for real. I ain't playing. Every week on Sunday around 12 o'clock, I'm gonna be here, and I'm gonna give it to you. All right. I love y'all. Peace out.